I've been wanting to make a film on the people of Honduras for over 15 years. After Hurricane Mitch went ashore and caused the damage it did and devastated Honduras along with Guatemala and Nicaragua and El Salvador, I said, if ever I'm going to make this film, now's the time. The first day we ended up in this small town outside of Tegucigalpa. I was standing on the spot where there was a house and a family had lived there. The house was totally washed away. There were little things, remnants from the people who lived there, like a piece of a telephone I found on the ground or a shoe. It was really spooky because I'm standing on this spot and there was basically this huge hole where the house used to be. And it's hard to believe that a family lived there.
In what moment it was terrible when the house fell down, and we saw when the children took her teacher and they say, help me, please help me, and nobody can do something for these people. And we saw when the house fell down in the river over there, they are dying now. 7 people died in this. The Hurricane Mitch, it was terrible for Honduras. After the Hurricane Mitch, this place was beautiful. Many houses, 15 houses in this place, and berry trees, and the children smile in these places. Everybody was very happy, but now everybody is too sad because when we saw that in that night, it was terrible. In our heart, my heart is broken now for this, and it was difficult sometimes.
This storm affected people whether they had money or didn't have money or had beautiful homes or had a little shack on the side of the road. It didn't care. We also met a man named Mario Reyes. Mario's a candle salesman. When we first met him, I was amazed because he joked with us and he laughed and he had a great personality. So I asked him, I said, would you mind if we interviewed you and, shot your house? Because he said that he lived right down the block. He said, no problem, come on down. And when we went down to his house, the entire side of his house was gone. The wall had been knocked down. Mud was up to the ceiling in some rooms. It was totally amazing. And here's this guy joking with us. I couldn't believe it.
About 5 o'clock in the morning, I came to see my house because I was living in this house here. That was my living room where I have my TV, my waterbed, my furniture, everything that I have over there. It went out into this hole because the water was coming from outside. My refrigerator, I don't know where it went to because when I came here, I didn't find anything. I tried to get in front of the house, but in that time, it was water almost by my neck. So I came through the other side in the back, and I did jump from the back to my house. And when I saw my house like that, I was really emotional. My heart was beating like I should say like hell.
I was amazed to see this one section that was totally wiped out with mud and water. There were cars buried up to the roof. Buildings were covered with mud and destroyed. People's businesses and homes were totally gone. I saw buildings that were hanging off the side of these hills, dangling over the river. I've never seen anything like it. It looked like a scene from Private Ryan. It was total destruction.
Well, what can I say about what's happened here in Tegucigalpa? It's devastating especially for all the people who lived here. They lost their homes, lost family members, material possessions, and especially the people who lived here were poor people. They worked so hard for the few things they had, and the things were taken away from them in minutes.
But we must go on, because if we don't, our Honduras is not going to be It's not going to be rich anymore and or beautiful. It's ugly, and you have to work on it.
Basically, right now, the amazement has stopped and reality is starting to sink in. And I'm worried about what's gonna happen.
When we arrived, there were a group of students, must have been 50, 60 students, I don't know how many, and they were digging. They were cleaning up the mud. There were people that were actually digging for bodies. The smell of death was all over. You could smell it. When the wind blew a certain way, the smell was unbelievable. Once you've smelled death, you'll never forget it. On the third day, we flew completely across the country thanks to the Honduran Air Force. When we traveled around that area, we saw some massive bridges that were taken out by the flood and the mud. The mud created dams along the side of these bridges, and just debris kept building up, and finally, so much debris had built up on the side of the bridge that it just totally knocked the pillars that hold up the bridge out, and at that moment, the bridge would come down.
The whole bridge is gone. The whole superstructure is about half a mile down the river. You saw it?
Mother Nature's a powerful force to be able to take out a bridge like that.
Your sounds?
The trees, the tremendous amount of trees that all the river brought down from the mountains, it created an artificial dam, which when it was too high, the force of the water just exploded at once, and about 50% of the bridge went down. And that was probably the reason of most of the bridges which have collapsing in this country.
From that point, we went to the 4th Battalion of the Honduran military, and we spent a day and the night with them, and that was an experience to say the least. 5 Americans sleeping thanks to the 4th Battalion of the Honduran military. It was an unbelievable experience.
I slept down there on the floor.
Oh yeah?
With a mattress.
Any scorpions?
Only a couple. Build up an immunity.
Also met a young boy, 17 years old. His name's Ronald Carrillo. He lived in his house with his uncle, and he told us how him and his brother had to escape into the mountains to save their life. Because, you know, I guess they didn't believe that this thing was going to be as bad as it was. His house was totally destroyed. We saw him just standing in the street, almost in a daze, looking at his house. When I pulled up, we asked him if we could film him, his house, interview him. I know it was difficult for me to ask, but it's so important that we get people like him, get his story, so people around the world can understand what these people went through. This neighborhood was totally destroyed. I've never seen anything like it. And these people, for them to still be upbeat, for them to welcome us with open arms, is just totally unbelievable. We've seen so much destruction and people losing their homes in the mud and the water, and I could feel that the crew was depressed and down. I found myself just not 100%. It was a very tough time for us personally. It was good that on that day we decided to travel to the town of Taylor. Taylor didn't receive that much of the water and the mud, so most of the city itself was fine. But what we wanted to do was we wanted to focus in on the people of Honduras, because part of the film that I'm making is not just on the destruction, but it's on the other side too. These people will come back.
En Tela conocí una chica que de momento me fascinó. En Tela conocí una chica que de momento me fascinó. De pronto llegó su novio, ella me lo presentó. De pronto llegó su novio, ella me lo presentó. Entonces yo le dije que, entonces yo le dije que en tela, 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 te la voy a quitar. En tela, 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 te la voy a quitar.
We traveled outside of Tela to a town called Guacamaya. When we pulled up, we could not believe the devastation. The houses were totally destroyed. The mud had just ripped through the entire village. And when you first see it, you don't realize that it just looks like there's this big area with nothing but mud and water. It almost looks like it was meant to be like that. But when somebody told me there were maybe 50 to 100 homes that sat on this land and they're no longer there, I mean, you can't even see a foundation, there's nothing. It makes you wonder what's under that mud. I hate to think what was under that mud.
All the roads were washed out pretty bad, and what we did is the dirt we took out from here, if you look over there on the pillars, you can see how high the mud was. They had to dig their doors out, and we took the dirt back up there and we were filling in where the river had practically relocated itself through the middle of the town, and just moving a lot of dirt basically.
We met the Pinto family who lost everything they had. They lost everything, and they actually invited us to lunch. They were willing to give up a portion of their lunch for our crew. They asked us if we were hungry. I was amazed. These people's house had been destroyed. They had no money. They were eating beans and rice and tortillas, and they invited us to lunch.
Made a lot of friends, learned a lot of Spanish with the children. Everything that, all of our equipment, everything, they wanted to know what it all meant in English, and we wanted to know what it meant in Spanish. The people around here have been real helpful, giving us food, helping us out with work, helping us guide our vehicles when we're backing them up the mountain.
This hurricane in my town is very terrible because I see that people die in my hands and I can't do anything. It's terrible. See the people running, and I can give one hand to help her and help us. I'm running off my town because here's no gas, no water, no food. The people stay in the mine. The river is like a monster, a big monster. Over the house, the people scaring is over the floor. I don't know. I don't know.
After the scene at Guacamaya, it hit us pretty hard. Hit me pretty hard. That Sunday, the next day. We needed another change. The crew, after seeing Guacamaya, it's like getting punched in a boxing match. I mean, it took the wind out of us, and we were staying actually across from a school. The school's Triunfo de la Cruz High School, and I didn't realize it. I didn't think anybody would be there on a Sunday, but we could hear these kids singing this beautiful song, and I asked Gracia, I said, "What song is that?" And she said, "That's the Honduran national anthem." Well, it struck me. I said, I've got to have that.
Tu bandera es un lampo de cielo, por un bloque de nieve cruzado, y se ven en su fondo sagrado 5 estrellas de pálido azul. En tu emblema que un mar rumoroso con sus ondas bravías escuda. De un volcán, tras la cima desnuda, hay un astro de nítida luz.
On our last full day of shooting, we went to a town called La Lima. We were actually traveling down the road, and all of a sudden you could see these tents and makeshift little houses that were built on the road itself. the reason why these people had moved up there was because they were forced out of their own town because of the mud and the water, because the town lies lower than the road itself. And there was nothing but mud and water all over the place. And these people had nowhere to go but up to the higher ground, which was the street.
We are here to give these poor people some rice and beans, some food, because as we know, they have suffered much of this, what caused Hurricane Mitch. So we are here from Belize and distributing some rice and beans to them, helping these people a bit over it, not to suffer so much.
We actually went inside these people's tents, and they were cooking, and they were sitting on the side of the road and on the side of their tent. And they actually were pretty upbeat considering the situation. They welcomed us. They talked to us. The kids' faces I will never forget.
Negrita, para amarte nació mi corazón. Negrita, para amarte nació mi corazón. Y si sabes querer, y si sabes amar, y si sabes sentir, acuérdate de mí. Camdu, 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 camdu. Voy a andar el mundo y no solo por andar. Me voy a andar el mundo y no solo por andar. Soy gallito y tengo espuelas, soy gallito y tengo espuelas, soy gallito y tengo espuelas y donde quiera puedo cantar. Candú, 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 candú. Candu, 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 candu.
25F, take one, Mark.
Well, I have to be honest here. When I first got the call, I was interested in the story, but I was very apprehensive. I was nervous. I'd seen all the pictures in the news, and it really, I wasn't sure they were going to be ready for us. So we came down here prepared for everything, prepared for the worst. Went out and met a lot of people and saw a lot of different things. Extremely happy I did come. Seen a lot of terrible things, but I never heard one bad word from anybody. No complaints. People here were very strong, very nice. Everybody offered to help us, which was, I mean, in the middle of all this, people standing there without their homes, a little bit of food, a bucket of clean water, and that's about it. Asking us if we were thirsty, wanted to make sure that we had what we needed, which was amazing to me. The kids, especially, you couldn't go anywhere without a kid asking if he could help you to pick up the equipment to carry, while their mother was still over there trying to clean water and just, you know, trying to take care of the family to get by. And everybody here is just, we saw a lot of bad things, like I say, but I think everything, the people here are going to be okay. They're going to come through it okay.
Seeing these people having to dig themselves out and work hard under excruciating conditions with children running around barefooted and hungry, I got a sense that they're really strong, hard-working people, and I don't see them faltering. I see them persevering, and I feel for them, but I think in the long run they're going to be okay, because the Hondurans are really a strong people, and they'll hold together.
Take two, Mark.
I just have to wonder if a lot of Americans could handle something like this. We've had disasters, but we're also so insulated by insurance, and our federal disaster aid comes in, and it seems we have a lot of backup. But I'm just not sure if we could recover. But I have no doubt about the Hondurans, because they've had to earn everything that they have, and when you've lost everything that you earned, you know you can always earn it again.
I'm looking forward to this, actually, because it's me. Like, I'm 22, and I'm gonna help rebuild this. Like, 15 years down the line when we're like just like starting to get back to normal, or hopefully like do better than what we were like before Mitch happened. I don't know, it's pretty interesting.
We are young, and I think that we are the ones that will have to take the future in our hands of this land that has seen us grow, and we're the only ones that can make this negative thing have a bit of light. You know, everything has a solution, and we are the ones that have to find a solution. It would be difficult, but just because it is difficult, we will not say, okay, we're not going to do it. It is difficult, I know, but still we have to go on, to go forward, to make our nation more beautiful than it was before.
The future is upon us. This has been devastating, and it's going to be hard, really hard, but I think we can do it. And we can't complain about the help we've had of international countries. And I think together we'll do it. We'll rebuild this country, and we'll even have a better country than the one we started with.
We can bring our country back together. We have to work, though. When we cannot stay here and waiting for the international aid to come and start doing all the work, you know, that is our responsibility. I know that this hurricane destroyed 50 years of progress in 5 days, just like that. But I'm pretty sure that if we get together and we start working, you know, in what we do, the country is gonna come out again, and we will go on.
Before the hurricane, maybe we never saw some people, and now we are very, very, very friendly with these people, and we try to help every day, and this is good for us, and we know that many people are helping Honduras and are helping to the children especially.
We're gonna build my house back because we got no place to go.
To my countrymen in Honduras, I would like to convey the following message. We are down, but we are not out. We need to work. We need to have faith in the future. We need to have faith in the world. We need to have faith in our friends all over the place. We have to have the collaboration of everybody around because we are ready to bounce back, and we will, believe me.
Dios escogió entre sus joyas más finas a la que Honduras debía de llamar. Y la guardó en su joyel de colina, igual que un tesoro se suele guardar. La raza maya, suprema en bravura, hizo su nido imperial en copa. Allá formó aquella gloria de Honduras que la llamó General Morazán. Es Honduras, mi patria querida, la más hermosa que el sol nunca vio. Por ella doy yo mi sangre y mi vida, lo mismo que el bravo le empira la Dios. No hay otro pueblo más macho que el pueblo catracho del cual vengo yo. No hay otro pueblo más macho que el pueblo catracho del cual vengo yo. Mi patria querida, la más hermosa que el sol nunca vio. Por ella doy yo mi sangre y mi vida, lo mismo que el bravo le empira la Dios. No hay otro pueblo más macho que el pueblo catracho del cual vengo yo. No hay otro pueblo más macho que el pueblo catracho
coming down and meeting these people in this situation has changed my life.